This is Byron and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 169 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
Yes, it is. The word is up, and the interest rates are apparently up.
Are they?
Well, not the... No, I take that back.
Please take that back.
I do take that back. The interest rates are back down, which is a great thing.
They are down.
It's a great thing for buyers.
Yes.
Great time to lock into a very low rate. They're actually back under 3, so that's good news.
You were trying to segue into it and you failed.
I was going to segue, but they are up in certain types of purchases or about to go up. So vacation home buyers, they propped up the mortgage market. This is according to Wall Street Journal, and now they face a test. Listen, they propped up our market for sure. Second home buyers, vacation home buyers, investment home buyers. Over the last year, our market, Nicole, on the Connecticut shoreline was definitely propped up by these types of buyers. But Fannie and Freddie changes could make mortgages that surged to records during the pandemic more expensive. So let's break down exactly what is going on, and then we'll say if this is a racket or not. Sounds like it's getting quite racketish, if you ask me. Essentially, the two mortgage giants, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, whose government backing is crucial to holding down mortgage rates, they buy all the mortgages, right? So they're buying mortgages from, if you go to a lender, then Fannie or Freddie is probably going to buy that mortgage, or if they don't own it already. So the government is essentially saying, and not, I just won't use the government, I'll say exactly who's saying it. It was the Treasury Department. Treasury's view is that second home and investment properties are less oriented to the missions of Fannie and Freddie to support affordable housing. So they want, and they've put a restriction that Freddie and Fannie cannot hold more than 7% of all the mortgages that they hold. More than 7% of those cannot be investment or second homes. Okay, so essentially what that means, and they need to get into compliance by June 1st on this rule. Essentially what that means is interest rates on those types of purchases are going to go up, potentially down payment, like you got to put down 30% instead of 20%. But interest rates are definitely going to go up for people looking to purchase a second home. Is that a racket, Nicole? Where are you at on that one?
By June 1st, I feel like maybe our April and May will be pretty busy then, huh?
Right. Well, no. I mean, I got a call from BFA, a lender that we work with. He said that it's all happening now, right? So
are people that are currently in contract, are they going to be affected?
If their rate is locked, then no. But if they don't have a rate lock, yes. According to lenders, they will be impacted. Lenders got no notice on this. This is just like, hey, here you go. Here, this is now the new normal. There you go.
Yeah,
go with it.
It's a total racket. I mean, we were sort of talking before we started, like especially in our state where we are, these second homes are pretty vital to us, and actually kind of kept us afloat during the pandemic. All the individuals from Boston and New York, they weren't ready. They weren't necessarily committing to live here permanently, but certainly wanted a place to retreat to. It is unfortunate. I mean, I do have to say probably 50% of the time, a lot of them are probably able to do like a cash transaction. But I mean, it certainly is going to affect individuals, especially those two. Let's talk about ones too that are, again, obviously with prices going up and interest rates being so low, maybe some individuals were even cashing out of their primary home to sort of reinvest in an investment property. Obviously, that may change some of their plans as well, which again will ultimately slow down the market. I mean, it'll... Yeah. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. And we'll link this up. It's Wall Street Journal article. There is another article in The Real Deal that summarizes this as well, because you may not have access to Wall Street Journal. But I mentioned the Treasury. I wanted to clear up that it does state, basically what I said, the government at the direction of federal officials. So, Fannie and Freddie are not making this decision. This is a decision coming at the direction of federal officials. And just to put into context here, how many people are interested in buying an investment property or a second home, the number of buyers who locked in mortgage rates for second homes, and we have a chart, we can put that up. Number of buyers who locked in mortgage rates for second homes in February was up 93% from a year earlier, Nicole, far outpacing the 32% climb for primary residences. This is according to Redfin. So that's significant.
Oh, for sure. It sounds like what they're probably trying to do is to make sure that those first-time home buyers aren't losing out to the investors. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to, again, it's going to 100% change like the whole landscape.
It's going to make it more expensive. So basically investors and second home borrowers, if they want to make that same purchase, it's going to cost them more money per month if they're using a mortgage. Which
will inevitably draw the price down too, right? Because if money is going to be more expensive, then the price just becomes that much more.
And second home buyers and investors, they're going to start negotiating. It does impact a certain price range, right? Because if a second home buyer is more of a luxury purchase, or, I don't know, the investors, that could help some of these first-time home buyers if some of the investors can't get in on some of the lower price stuff.
Well, think of it, though. We're not talking about just $1 million homes. Like, we're talking about even a $200,000 house that's maybe along a lake, and that individual wants to Airbnb it, or maybe it is the water. Maybe it's the countryside, or a condo, or, something. It's certainly going to affect all price points, and will definitely stir up this already crazy market that we're in.
And so again, Fannie and Freddie, they've got to get under 7% of holdings in these types of loans. Here's another chart we can put up from Mortgage Bankers Association that in February of 2021, 14.1% of all mortgage applications were these types of loans. If you go all the way back to 2010, it was the percentage of applications was never, ever under 7%. The only time it dipped to 7% exactly was March and April of 2020 and May, when basically all applications dipped for a 2-3 month period, right? But that was the only time going back all the way to 2010 that applications were anywhere close to 7%. They were on average in the 9, 10, 11% range. It's shot up even more so now to over 14%. So they're pumping the brakes on the second home and investment market by making it more expensive. And there's an example in here where actually they use an example, Nicole, of an insurance guy who was from Essex, Connecticut, buying a home in Vermont, a little local thing there. Anyways. This particular buyer buying a ski home in Vermont would have been locked in, or did lock in. I guess they got in by the skin of their teeth there at 3%. Under the new rules, it would have been close to 4%, costing about $50 more per month if all the numbers were still the same on their mortgage. So, one would argue, and in the comments in the Wall Street Journal, somebody said if you can't, afford the extra $50. I think it was $45. If you can't afford the extra $45 a month on a mortgage for a vacation home, you have no business buying a vacation home.
But we're also talking about investors, though, too. Yeah. Well, then you're going to just charge more in rent each month. So, correct. Is affordability really there then? Who the hell knows? Yeah.
Total racket. And,
total racket.
I would like to see less federal advice in all of our lives, and certainly in real estate as well. So that's where I sit on that one. Racket number 2, Zillow's latest report revealed that 11% of Americans moved during the pandemic. Is this number high or low to you? Just off a gut check, Nicole.
Oh, jeepers creepers. I asked you that question. I have no idea.
You asked me
what
it was last year.
What is it usually? What is it?
Zillow doesn't tell us what it is.
Zillow doesn't tell us. Usually. And I feel kind of foolish that I don't know. But again, based on what we've seen, in my mind, 11% must be high. it was...
Zillow keeps talking about the great reshuffling. We've talked about this so many times. I feel like I can't talk today.
You can't ever talk. So
no. Well, no. It's a good. Great job at a podcast. Can't talk.
Yeah.
And they even reference the great reshuffling here from urban coastal hubs to nearby far-flung suburbs with more space and lower prices.
Map showing where everybody.
Yep, we're gonna put
headed.
that map up there too. We're putting a lot of maps up. So
wow, a lot of people from LA went down to Austin and Dallas.
Yeah, California's moving to Texas. Northeast is moving to Florida and the Carolinas,
which they always have.
Chicago's moving to Arizona and Florida. So yeah, you've got all this kind of stuff. Northern California is moving, I guess, up to Washington,
Seattle.
Seattle specifically.
Which is
These are metro hubs.
City.
Metro hubs, yeah. So take a look at that. This is a great Inman article just to dig around on some of there's a lot of numbers in here. So this was 25.
Lots of numbers.
2,500 Americans were surveyed, and that's how they got to that 11% numbers. Maybe a small sample size. 75%, with the majority, 75% leaving their locales to take advantage of lower home prices to be closer to family, or to be closer to family.
Yes.
But So, but the lower home price is interesting because now you can, let's just look at that chart again. New York to Miami. Well, you can get a lot more for your money, better lifestyle for sure, even though if you go to the last real word, we talk about New York City and people going back to New York as recently as the last couple months. But pound for pound, dollar for dollar, what you get in Miami or South Florida in general and your lifestyle, it's tremendously better than New York City. And so, yeah, it's a cheaper buy. And if you can work remote, which if you go back to the last real word, I don't know if that's going to last for everybody, then it makes sense to make that move. That being said, there are a lot of financial companies moving to Southern Florida. And so if your company now moves to this area, you can move right along with the company if you need to be back in the office. So there is definitely, I was thinking about what we talked about last week with the New York thing. Mm-hmm. I still think I'm flip-flopping here a little bit.
About what? About life going back to normal, like the new normal? Or?
No. I think people are going back into the offices for sure.
Yes.
So I'm not flip-flopping on that. I'm a buyer on that. People going back into offices.
Okay.
But I don't know that all those offices are going to be in New York long term. There's a ripple effect to this, and we've got to wait and see what happens over the next 5 to 10 years. I don't know that all the companies are going to stay in a city like New York.
There's going to have to be some incredible incentive for
Well, the incentive is they relocate their company to Florida. And
no, but I'm saying that the states, the cities are going to have to offer hopefully some sort of incentive, or at least the landlord. Like there's going to have to be some sort of incentive for them to want to stay, for sure. South
Florida, specifically on the East Coast, has been pulling that off. So big companies have been relocating there, obviously to Texas as well. They're in the news for that. And so it's like college football recruiting, right? The mayor of Miami, the governor of Texas, they're recruiting big companies. That's really
absolutely. And they're not just financial companies. They're
all kinds of companies.
Right.
So I don't know. I know that I may have come off, and go back and watch episode 168 last week, where we break down the New York, the leases are up and people are, office space is up and people are moving back into New York. I am bullish on New York making a comeback, but they also fell so far. I'm still very much bullish on people going to these states that make a whole lot more sense on lifestyle and financially.
Absolutely. I agree. I do think, though, that if people don't have to go into the office, again, which is sort of counteracting what we had sort of talked about last week, but I think that people still who are diehard New Yorkers are still going to want to go back to the city as long as it's safe, and then they can just potentially work from home too. But yeah, the whole thing will be very interesting to see how this whole thing sort of irons out.
And with all these moves, if that number is true, 11% of Americans moved, there's going to be a percentage of people that change their mind, move back. There's going to be buyer's remorse.
100%.
So I think Zillow's been right on this, that there is going to be a great reshuffling, that there's going to be a lot of moving around, which also makes more moves because people will move back. There's just, I'm a believer and a buyer that the great reshuffling is happening.
They have the most data out of everybody. So, I mean, they have their finger certainly on the pulse.
And remember, millennials are driving a lot of this too. The majority of millennials in this year, 2021, are turning 30, or is that the average age? Axios just did a study that I just saw. Millennials, they're ready to take over the real estate market, they say, but they've been taking over. About 4.8 million millennials are turning 30 in 2021, and if they haven't already entered the home buying game, they're expected to. So that's also creating this reshuffling effect.
For sure.
Definitely not a racket. I'm a buyer of Zillow's take on lots of moves are happening now and in our future. So that's a good thing if you're an agent, despite the fact that those interest rates for second home and investment properties could be up. All right, let's go to the Marketeer of the Week. This is a Jimmy Burgess article on Iman. Jimmy has a podcast, the Real Estate Sales Podcast, and he lists out 12 videos every realtor should be making. I would say that all 12 of these videos are fine. They're great videos to go ahead and do. You should be doing them. A lot of these lists, it's like all of them are good things. So none of these are going to be a racket, but we're going to give you the list of 12 here and what one Nicole and I think you guys should put at the very top of your list. We're going to give you each our opinion on which one you should do at the top right away. All right?
Okay.
Number 1, what people love and hate about living in your area. What people love and hate. Would you do that one?
I wouldn't. I don't know that I would do the hate spin.
I knew you weren't gonna do that.
I don't know that I would do the hate spin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 2, renting versus buying in your area. I like that one.
I mean,
Break down
of course.
the numbers.
Yeah, that's easy enough.
Virtual open houses.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
we were a believer in it.
Yeah. I don't love them, but yeah.
No, I hate them, but but what we were actually doing just to make it so people would actually watch them through. Remember, we were doing that little scavenger hunt.
Yeah, you
during
had to do
them.
something.
Yeah.
Virtual open
well,
houses.
then
So my favorite places in your area. I like that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep, I like that. Parks and farmers markets and all that.
Yep.
Coming soon, for sure.
Right.
Coming soon. That's really good because everybody wants what they can't have in this market, low inventory market. That might be at the top of our list.
Well, I think it's really helpful to at least start getting your seller's schedule sort of booked, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we keep talking about, oh, I'm gone again, but that's okay. We don't need me.
Oh, jeez. You keep
It's okay.
disappearing on us. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, neighborhood highlights.
Which sort of sounds like your favorite places in your area would be a neighbor highlight, but
Similar.
yep.
And for me, neighborhood highlights would be stuff that like only people that live there know about. That would be a highlight. Like, I don't know. I think I would use it more as a connector within the community.
Of course.
So if there's a certain little nature trail that only people that know about it.
A nature trail. Do you know where nature trails are? You know where they are?
Yeah, I know where
Okay.
some are. Some secret ones.
Interesting.
From when I was a kid. Number 7, cost of living in your area. That's a good one. Very educational. An about me, so about you, the agent, sure. Testimonials, new listings, area demographics, and number 12, interview local business owners. Nicole, what's your number 1 pick right now that everybody should go out and shoot?
So, I guess, like, are we talking about the easiest? Are we talking about like?
No, what would you say is the most important one? Because listen, a lot of times you go to a conference, you get a list like this. You're like, oh yeah, I want to shoot all 12 of these videos, but you're overwhelmed with too much information.
I don't
so which
need to
one
do
should
all
you
12
start
of
with
them.
because it's
But
the most important?
I would definitely do your neighborhood highlight, which also again kind of piggybacks this favorite places in your area. I don't know that I would necessarily specify like this is my favorite pizza place because you don't want to actually like turn your back on the 6 other pizza places that are in your area too. But I definitely think highlighting your town, especially if you're a new agent, is a great way to get your face out there. And like the shareability of it, you know, you get, you know, God forbid the chocolate shop is behind you during your video, you know, they're going to then share it. Then like the bookstore will share it. And I think that it'll certainly have a rippling effect to get your face out there. So I think that would be the most important in terms of like brand building. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I would say I'm going to have a 1 and a 1A. If you don't have an About Me video yet, you probably could start there. But factoring in that I would say most people do, I'm going to go with doing some type of interview local business owner series. I've always been bullish on that. You're going to get the respect of the business owner. You're going to get awareness on their business at a time when they probably need it. They're going to remember you for doing that. There's just so much good that can come from interviewing local business owners. And so love to see you go out and start that series
and
right
what
away.
A great way too, if you're afraid of being in front of the camera or a little shy, you know, throw the camera on someone else.
If you've missed any, we've done 4 confessionals now. We've done the Broke Agent. We've done Zach Faust. We've done Jill Biggs and then Tom Ferry. Go back and check those out. Subscribe to this podcast. Subscribe to the Real Word on YouTube, and definitely check out those confessionals. Nicole, have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Thanks for breaking. That's a $7,000 camera, Bobby. I can't imagine it's overheating.
You know, that's what happens.
It's at least $6,000.
Anyway, I made it to the end.
All right. Keep it real. We'll see you guys next week.